Hello everyone, I hope you're all well. I have some time at last to make a video. I've got the day off work today, so I have some time to put this video out there. And today's video, it's going to be a little bit of a Q&A as always, and I'm going to talk a little bit about this audio device trial that I'm going to be doing. Before I get into any of that, I've spoken about outside influences before that can have a negative effect on your tinnitus, and we all know that stress, conflict, pressure, any negative emotional state can have a negative effect on tinnitus and make it increase. We know this, but I found a couple of things I'm going to talk about to do with outside influences, and one of them is quite bizarre, and I was not expecting this. Now firstly, before I talk about it, as I speak to you now, my tinnitus is very, very low. I'm in a good place. It's like a level 1. It's there, but I'm not really hearing it at all during the day. In the evening I will still hear it, but it's not bad, and I'm basically not hearing it at all during the day, which is lovely and great, and it's where I like to be. And that's how I am right now. And I've been like that for a little while now, if you watched my last video. And this is why I want to get into what I'm going to talk about right now, because I was not expecting this. I'd had a good day. My tinnitus was extremely low. And I was with Amanda and we were watching the television. And we were watching a movie. I can't remember that name of the movie. But it was a horror film, and I know Julian has said in some of his videos that watching those type of movies, because of the emotional reaction to them, is not helpful. But I was watching a horror film, and I was in a good place with my tinnitus and I wasn't hearing it. Anyway, so I'm watching this film with Amanda, and at one point in this film there was an explosion, and after this explosion in the movie, there was a sound effect that was the sound of the people's ears ringing after this explosion. A high-pitched tone, like tinnitus. A high-pitched tone. And as I say, I was in a good place. I wasn't hearing my tinnitus, and I hadn't been thinking about it because I wasn't hearing it. But after this scene in this movie, with the people grabbing their heads because of the noise that they were hearing, this high-pitched tone after this explosion. Of course, I hear this noise, and I started to think, oh, that sounds just like my tinnitus. And I looked at Amanda and I said, that's the sound that I hear, you know. And as soon as I said that, my own tinnitus seemed to enter my head again and go up in volume to like a 3 or 4 while I was watching this film. It's truly bizarre. Now, why did it wasn't good. It was quite loud. It was like a 3 or 4, maybe dipping into a 5. Not only that. But as I sat there, Amanda looked at me like, God, what's happening with you? Because I looked at her and I was in a state of shock, to be honest. Not only did it go up in volume, but it travelled right the way round my head into my left ear. And it was as loud, and now my tinnitus, you've heard me say many times, resides in the right hand side of my head. That's how it feels. And usually my left hand side feels clear. But after seeing this scene in this film, it went to the left hand side, and it was as loud in this side as it was in the right hand side. My whole head was full of this noise. And this was literally after this scene in this film. And I think this is a truly bizarre factor. But it does show that it is the brain that is creating this noise. My brain and my emotional state reacted to the scene that I was seeing in this film. And it was bad. It was loud. And I sat there, and Amanda said to me, right, well calm down, you were fine before, just remain. And I was in a state of a bit shocked, because it was so sudden and it was so loud. It was like when I was first struck with it, although not at that, in a level 10, it wasn't like that, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't good. And so I sat there, and it wasn't going down. It wasn't going down, and of course then I did start to think to myself, good grief, has this scene from this film given me an increased amount of tinnitus, and I'm not going to be able to get this down? What is going on? So I turned the film off, went and made a cup of tea, and I sat there, and it was still there. And in the end, what I actually did, I decided, right, I'm going to go to bed. And I went to bed, and I listened to the meditation audio files that I've got, and I'm thinking, geez, I hope this is gone by the morning. It's truly bizarre. And I'm happy to say that when I woke up the next day, I'd gone back to where I was before, like a level 1 or 2. But this just does show that the brain is such a complex thing. And for us tinnitus people, the most obscure or bizarre things that we're probably not conscious that we're taking in can affect us. So I just wanted to put that out there, you know, about outside influences. But we have to be a bit careful, I think, about what we're putting into our brains, for want of a better phrase. I think we have to be careful about it. And this has just illustrated to me again that the brain is the biggest factor in this. But as I say, I'm fine now. But it was peculiar. And also, another thing I found, I had someone email me about this thing about. I spoke about distracting the mind away from the sound that you hear can help reduce your tinnitus. I said that I'd been in my garage and working on things, and they asked me what exactly do I mean by this distraction theory. What I basically mean by this is that if you can distract your brain and focus onto something where your brain is focused on what you're doing, whether it be painting, drawing, reading a book, anything that takes your interest. You have to be interested in what you're doing for this to work. That can help. However, I was saying that I was working on things in my garage, and that helped me because I was making parts for my motorcycles, and I'm interested in that, and that helped me. I had a strange occurrence where I was in my garage doing the same thing, but I was getting very, very frustrated with what I was doing. Although I was focusing on it, I was getting very frustrated because it wasn't going right and I'd messed it up. And this made my tinnitus go up as opposed to decreasing it. So when I say distraction, I'm talking about positive focus and actually enjoy what you're doing rather than frustration. You know, there's a difference between focus and frustration. So yeah, outside influences I think are a big factor. So I think we do need to be aware and start to look at and filter as much as we can what we're exposing our minds to a lot of the time. And those two incidences, those two situations have just reconfirmed to me that the brain is the biggest factor in this again. Okay, more positively, after I had this bizarre episode with this movie that weekend, I went out with my son Aaron to Hadley Park, and it was a lovely day, and you've heard me say this before, and I had Amanda with me, and it was very, very relaxing. The sun was out, and I laid under a tree, and my tinnitus was like pretty much non-existent, which was lovely. And that's all to do with the brain and the way I'm feeling. Okay, moving on from that. People have asked me about, my tinnitus retraining appointment that I went to. I've had that now. I've been to the appointment. They did hearing tests. A couple of people have asked me about this. They did hearing tests like they always do. Nothing's changed. I'm the same as I was pre-tinnitus, post-tinnitus in terms of my hearing loss. Nothing's changed, exactly the same. They couldn't find anything wrong with my ears, again. And for a man of my age, my hearing's within normal range. Now, about the audio devices, people have said to me, Aid, why are you going to try this? Now, my views on audio devices or sound generators, you've heard me talk about these before. I'm a bit sceptical about these things. I don't think, in my opinion at this time, I do not think they are the answer. My friend wears one, but when he takes it off, his tinnitus is as bad as it ever was. I spoke about a girl in America who had one. It cost her $5,000. It didn't do anything for her. However, other people have since written to me, a couple of people on my channel, saying that it's really, really helped them. I don't know what devices they're using, but they say it's really helped them. Now, I speak about these devices on my channel and give my opinion. So I do think that in order for me to have an opinion on something, I need to experience it myself. I don't think it is going to be the answer for me personally, because as I say, I can already get to a place where my tinnitus, I'm not hearing it, which is great. So for me personally, I don't think it's going to be a long-term thing. But what I think I may do and may use it for, or what I'm hoping I may use it for, is if I have a spike, which I do have, if I have a spike at tinnitus, like when I was watching this movie, maybe if I put this audio device on, that this will bring the tinnitus down when I have a spike, or when my tinnitus is bad, when I'm not in a good place. Maybe it will be helpful in that way. So, and it's free, and so I am going to try it, and then I feel that I will be able to give more of an opinion on these things if I've tried it myself. So that's the reason I'm going to be trying it. Hopefully it may help me, I don't know, have to wait and see, but I am going to try it, and I will let you know how I get on with it. The document that one of my subscribers sent me, a manual about tinnitus retraining therapy, I have started to read that. It's very, very long, very, very informative, very scientific, but I am reading it. But really, when I go into this, I'm just looking at it as, I'm going to try it. Does it help me? Does it not help me? What's it like? Is it any good? Does it work? And then I'll give my opinion on it after I've tried it for a little while. So that's why I'm trying it, so I can give an opinion on it. Okay, so I want to get into a couple of posts and questions that have been sent to me. Oh, before I get into that, another thing that I've found, I've been sent, I'm in contact with somebody who has tinnitus, and their tinnitus is very, very bad, and they are trying to find sources and methods and anything that can help them. And there is some research now being done, scientific research, about stem cell therapy, regrown stem cells, hair cells in the ear. I am looking into this, hair cell regrowth, If this is possible, and the scientists, medical people, can actually make this work and regrow hair cells, I mean, that's just incredible. That is amazing. That is incredible. And aside from tinnitus, people that have got hearing loss, bad hearing loss, they've done some trials already, and people are experiencing their hearing is coming back. And I'm not just talking about 25%, I'm talking like 50% better from what I'm reading. From what I'm seeing into this research, it's 50% better. Now, if that's the case, it's possible, and they are looking into the tinnitus side of it. There's a whole, basically, book's worth of material, scientific papers on this regrowing of hair cells. There is a whole section that is talking about the possible relief and indeed cure from tinnitus using this hair cell regrowing technology they're coming up with. So that does look very, very interesting. I am going to look into it, and I will, I will keep you updated on that. And this person that I know, I think they're going to try and go through with this hair cell regrowth. And if they do, I'll be sure to let you know what effect it has. But it is not cheap. However, having said all of that, and going back to the first part of this video, and I'm going to say this again, even if you have been struck with tinnitus through hair cell damage, and your ears are damaged, and it's the hair cells that have caused you to be struck with tinnitus as the initial trigger, it is still your brain that is creating this noise, because hair cells, they don't grow back. Okay, in the natural order of things, they do not grow back, right? So your hair, and people with hair cell damage, tinnitus goes up and down, like it does with me. And the hair cells are not growing, dying, growing, dying, coming back, dying, coming back. So it is the brain that is creating the noise. So I just want to reiterate that. It is not purely down to hair cell damage. It may be the initial trigger, and maybe if this new scientific, what do you want to call it, method, surgery, I don't know, works, then maybe it will be, you know, something that can really help us. But at the moment, it's still in a trial basis. But I think this person that I'm in contact with is going to try it, so I will let you know how they get on with it. Right, so now I will get into a couple of Q&As. Right, I had this from Pete. It's been a long time since I heard from you, Pete. And you wrote to me and you said, "Hi Aid, I went back to my doctor and we discussed amitriptyline, gabapentin and pregabalin. Okay. I have made it clear that I do not want to end up addicted to drugs, and that's even if they work for me if I take them. Well, they won't give them to you all at once. I wouldn't have thought for a minute, if that's what you're saying. You're not going to be on all of those at the same time. I've still not got around to trying to source a sound generator, but I need something as my tinnitus is still not good. I really need to make a decision on whether or not to take amitriptyline, gabapentin or pregabalin. What's your final advice on this? As I have asked you before, so sorry for the repeated questions on this, Pete." Okay, Pete, no worries, no problem. You're not the only one that asked me about gabapentin by any means. Lots of people are asking me and still ask me about gabapentin. Amitriptyline, I was on that to begin with. That's more of a antidepressant as far as I'm concerned. I was put on that, amitriptyline, to begin with when I was first struck with tinnitus. It is like an antidepressant. I never suffered any real side effects from that, and I didn't find it particularly difficult to come off of amitriptyline. But it never did really anything for me. Gabapentin, as I've said before, problem with gabapentin is, yes, it certainly worked for me. It brought my tinnitus down quickly, but there are severe side effects, and this is what why I've advised you against gabapentin. Pregabalin, as far as I know, is an offshoot of gabapentin. They're very, very similar drugs. They're very similar. Do I think you should take them? My advice is still, bottom line with gabapentin, is the side effects. That's why I'm wearing glasses. Gabapentin is the reason I'm wearing glasses right now. Now, my eyesight is terrible. It was perfect before I took gabapentin. Perfect. I had an eye test within a month before I took gabapentin, and my eyesight was perfect. And I was on gabapentin for 3 months. I've said this before, Pete. I was on it for 3 months, and since then my eyesight has deteriorated, and now I have to wear glasses. So that gives you an idea of how severe the side effects can be. Now, my doctor told me it was safe, and my doctor still says to me that there are people on it and it's not affecting them, they're safe. Well, it's not affecting them right now. That's my view on it. Wait till a little bit further down the line and then see where they are. I wish I'd never taken the stuff. It's difficult, I know, because if you're suffering, you want something quick, and you want something to bring it down quick. Now, if I could say to you, take the gabapentin, I've said this before, if you can take the gabapentin to relieve it and bring it down quickly, and then come off of the gabapentin without any issues, just so you can get to a good place for a while and some relief, I'd be more inclined to say, yeah, try it. But I don't think it's a good idea, because the problem with it is it works, so you want to keep taking it, and you'll find it difficult to stop, I think. But ultimately, the decision is yours, Pete. You have to do what you feel is right for you. But my advice is still steer clear of gabapentin or pregabalin. They're basically the same thing. Amitriptyline, you can try that. I didn't have any problems with that. But how's it going to affect you? I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I don't know. I can just give my advice and my opinion on it, and that's my opinion. I would steer clear still of gabapentin. If you do get an audio device, be sure to let me know how you get on with that, because as I say, I'm going to be trialling one myself, and I'd be interested to see what you think as you're going into it. You know, the same as me, never tried them before, so let me know how you get on with it. Thanks for your email, Pete, and I hope to hear from you soon. I hope you feel better soon. Okay, and I had a post from, and a question, big question, from my favourite detractor, Mr. Razzle Dazzle. But I noticed this time, Mr. Razzle Dazzle, you've posted it on my YouTube channel for all the public to see. So anyway, what have you written? You've written, Mr. Adrian Dickinson, I've just watched Mr. Hill's video. I've just watched Mr. Hill's video titled "A Complete Recovery from Tinnitus is Possible." Yeah, I've watched that as well. And furthermore, Mr. Hill just put up a video regarding the TED Talks video where the scientists say there is no cure. And you've watched this. And I know the one you're talking about. What's the scientist's name? Mr. Rouse Checker, something like that, on the TED Talks video. I've watched it. So why is it that people like you and Julian Hill say that we can cure our tinnitus? Question mark, question mark, question mark. I just can't believe that you have had silence again for any amount of I just can't believe that you have had silence again, or as Mr. Hill claims, can reach a full recovery. What am I doing wrong then? Exclamation mark, question mark. I wanted to say that the audio files you sent me have helped. and I changed my sacral therapist as you encouraged. So through through gritted teeth, thank you, you're welcome. But I'm but I'm nowhere near back to silence. Want real answers, why? Bottom line is, razzle dazzle, I don't have all the answers. I don't have all the answers. Julian doesn't have all the answers. None of us have got all the answers. We can only put out there what we have found has worked for us, what helps us, what we believe, and our opinions. I'm happy to hear that the audio files I sent you helped. Right, your question is, why do people like me and Julian say that we can cure our tinnitus and have a full recovery? Because that's what I believe. That's what I believe. That's what Julian believes. You've watched his video. That's what he's doing in that video, is trying to reassure people the complete recovery from tinnitus video. That's what he's trying to do there, is reassure people that it is possible to have a complete recovery from tinnitus, and Julian can testify to that because he's done it. He has done it. He lives a tinnitus-free life, and I believe him. I've met him and I believe him. But he doesn't have all the answers. I can say to you about my own. You say you can't believe that I've had silence. Well, I have, and nothing to the extent of time like Julian has. I mean, he lives a tinnitus-free life. But I had moments. It started off with moments. You're pretty new to my channel, so you haven't watched all my videos. I started to have moments of silence, minutes of silence, true silence, where even when I thought about my tinnitus, it wasn't there. Then hours, and the longest period that I had of what I'm calling true silence was when I went away on holiday. 3 days I didn't have tinnitus. It was not there. Well, clearly I wasn't cured. It was there. I would still have tinnitus as a condition, but it wasn't within my conscious thought. And normally, even though I have, like now, I've said, where most days now I'm not hearing my tinnitus during the day. When I go to bed, it is there. I will hear it. It's not bad, but I will hear it. So it is there. So I'm not cured. I will put that out there again, about the 100th time. I am not cured. I'm not saying that. But I have been able to have periods of time, longest being 3 days, where my tinnitus was not present at all within my conscious thought. Now I've had days where I'm not hearing my tinnitus. I start to think about it, similar to watching this movie, and my brain seems to seek out the tinnitus sound and amplifies it, and I'm hearing it again. But on this 3 day occasion, even when I thought, well, I'm not hearing my tinnitus, normally my brain would probably try and seek that out, but it didn't, and I did not hear it for 3 days, and it was what I'm calling true silence. Although I still had the condition, my brain had put the sound somewhere in my subconscious, I was not hearing it, and it was what I'm calling true silence. Some people have said to me that's as good as a cure. Well, it's the best that I've experienced with this condition. It's the best state I've experienced with this condition, not hearing my tinnitus, is, you could say, I suppose, as good as being cured, but it isn't cured. It's not the same as being cured. Being cured is, to me, that the tinnitus is just removed completely, and I still have it, so I'm not cured. But I do believe that you can have a complete recovery from tinnitus, and if you're not hearing it, like I said, if I was in the state that I was in for the 3 days where I wasn't hearing it at all, and I'd stayed like that, even if the condition was still present within me, but I'd stayed like that I would call then a complete recovery, let's say, because I'm not hearing it. I hope you understand what I'm trying to get at here. and then you've put, what are you doing wrong? I don't know what you're doing wrong. You're probably not doing anything wrong. There's no real, you know, you're probably not doing anything wrong. And you have said that the audio files have helped you, and so your tinnitus has reduced. So that proves that it's possible that you can reduce it, razzle dazzle. You can reduce it, and you've had some relief from it, from using these audio files that I sent you. So that just proves, although you're not where you want to be, I understand the frustration. I do understand the frustration. And you say you're nowhere near back to silence. But that just shows that you can reduce it at the very least. And if you can reduce it, you can reduce it further. You just need to continue to find methods that help you. But I don't have all the answers. But that's why I think, to answer your first question, that's why I think it's possible. Watch Julian's video again, and maybe listen to what he says and take more from what he's telling you. He can probably put it in a better way, or has put it in a better way than I can. But I hope that answers your question. Continue to contact me, even through gritted teeth. Okay, so thanks for your post. And actually, Mr. Razzle Dazzle, I want you to listen to this, because this relates to what I've just been saying. One of my subs, Alita, sent me a post, and also another subscriber of mine, who I'm not going to mention her name. She's going through a very, very rough time at this time with her own tinnitus. Very rough. And I want, you'll know who you are, and I want you to listen to this as well, because hopefully this will give you some encouragement and hope. And you, Mr. Razzle Dazzle. Right, I had a post from Alita. And Alita said to me, I've had almost a full month, that's longer than me, I've had almost a full month of silence in April. A full month. It was amazing. I've been listening to violent noise. It's the one that is closest to the sound that I hear. Maybe this is something that they're going to do with this audio device for me. I have to go in there and they're going to calibrate this device to the sound that I hear. How it works, I'm not quite sure. And then you talk about what you're taking. You're taking a drug called melatonin at night. I don't know much about that. But the main thing is that you had a full month. I mean, that's a massive amount of time. A full month of silence. And you've put, you've also been avoiding stressful situations and people. The last week, the level of the noise had gone up again, but I think I know why, and I'm working on that. You say you've tried the EFT tapping, which helped you get through stressful and emotional tough periods of time. And you've put, like Aid says, keep working on yourself and don't stop. I think my tea is like the canary in the coal mine, stressometer. In other words, it's a sign that something emotional is going on in my life and I need to deal with it. I figure if it can, this is what I want you to listen to, because this is the really pertinent point. I figure if it can go away for almost a month, it can go away for longer. Exactly. And that's the way I look at it with myself. Now, Alita's had a month of silence. That's longer than 3 days. I had 3 days. She's had a whole month. So whatever she's doing, she's found the methods that are working for her, and they're working. And she's had a month of silence. Fantastic. Well done, Alita. Brilliant. What can you say? That's terrific. What a relief. So, just hearing Alita's, maybe you want to contact her, Mr. Razzle Dazzle. She may be able to give you methods that will help you. But to have a month of silence. So, there again is someone who is finding the methods that work for them, and they've had a month of silence. It doesn't get a lot better than that. So that's another reason why I think it's possible. As she says, if she figures it can go away for almost a month, it can go away for longer. That's how I look at it, and that's why I'm hoping when I have my holiday in July that I will get back to that place and have some true silence for myself again, because I haven't had any what I call true silence since those 3 days. I don't hear my tinnitus during the day, as I said, but it's there, and I can hear it in the evening. But I want to have true silence again, like I did for those 3 days, where it is not present within my conscious thought. So thank you for that, Alita. That I'm sure will give lots of people encouragement, and also myself. It's great to hear. That is good to hear. Okay, another post I just want to quickly mention, coming to the end of this video today, from my friend the Hound, and you've put, "Hey AD," this is something else that's positive, another positive post. "Hey AD, good news, mate. I'm not hearing my tinnitus for weeks now." Brilliant. Again, another someone else. "I'm not hearing my tinnitus for weeks now. So fucking good, mate. I know it's still there, but I can't hear it. Thanks for your hypnosis audios. That really helped. And the other ways you've been telling me what to do. Cheers again." Brilliant. "Have you sold the Chop, my bike? Have you sold the Chop? Are you going to do a video of the new bike?" No, I haven't sold the Harley Chopper yet. If you know anyone that wants it, let me know. She's still in the garage. Haven't sold her yet. And yeah, I'll probably do a video of the other bike I've bought. I haven't built this one, I've just bought it. Haven't got time. Harley Night Train. I haven't had time to. I probably won't have time to build another bike, as far as I can see. So I've just bought this one at the showroom, which is a little bit of a niggly thing for me, because I like to make them my own. I'll still customise it. But that's good to hear, Hound. You haven't had your tinnitus for weeks, not hearing it for weeks. What can you say? It's good news, and encouraging for everybody to hear, as Alita's post is. Okay, so I'll let you guys know how I get on with the audio device when I get it. My appointment to actually go and have it, they're going to calibrate it. They say that they're going to calibrate it to the sound that I hear, to match it in. I presume this balances it out. I'm not quite sure how it works. When I go, I'll have a proper discussion at the clinic about what they're actually doing, how it's supposed to work, what it's supposed to do for me, and I will let you know. I think it's June the 8th I'm going to have this thing calibrated, and I will let you know what I think about it. It's free, so I'm going to try it so I can give an opinion on it. Okay, thank you everybody, and best wishes to you all. And just to say to Alita once again, fantastic news, Alita. I'm really happy for you with that. It's terrific. Okay, bye bye everyone. I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye.